Hello everybody, we are live from La Crozette Sport Beach in Cannes. It's a pleasure to have with us Tia Castagno, Global Innovation President at Dentsu. Hello Tia.
Hi, hello, great to be here.
Thank you. It's really a pleasure to have you. This is Cristian Racioppi. I run brand partnership at EMEA level at Channel Factory, and we want to jump and talk about innovation in the algorithmic era. So, Dentsu's 2026 media trend report is titled Human Truths in the Algorithmic Era, with the premise being that human behavior remains the constant even as algorithms reshape everything around it. Question for you. Where do you see the biggest gap between what brand think innovation means in that world and what actually drives growth?
Yeah, so I think that there is a risk in the same definition of an era to be algorithmic, because everything can shift too heavily to technology rather than being human first. And for instance, yesterday we were talking to a luxury client of ours, and the luxury experience, if you moved it in the algorithmic era, you will completely lose the high touch experience that people have when they go and shop, right? So the biggest risk is to actually take the technology lens on people rather than the people lens on technology, and where they want the friction. Because as humans, actually, we enjoy some friction in certain aspects. There are some aspects where we want an easy life, and some aspects where actually we enjoy shopping and we enjoy the friction. And I think that's where the gap is, recognizing where the friction is.
Very interesting.
And where it's welcome.
Yeah, very interesting. So, as agentic AI takes on more media decisions, what does it actually take to preserve brand judgment inside an automated system, and who owns that responsibility?
I think it's connected to what I just said, that if you think that you can automate everything, then you will end up destroying your brand. The second, well, I guess one of the biggest manifestation of that is short-term thinking versus long-term brand building. And if you are automating everything, you end up with a very short-term view of how you build your brand. Whilst we know that brands are built over decades, right? And that long-term brand building cannot be left with automation. And so I would say that for every brand, there needs to be a very careful calibration of what is right to automate and what actually needs to be completely left to human judgment, strategy, and the human in the loop, which could be the brand, it could be an agency, it could be a partner, again, to be established in that kind of government framework, rather than starting with what can I automate? It should be the other way around, right? What is it that we should never automate? Not a list for, the time being.
Thank you. Algorithms amplify what user signal matters, but the feedback loop can make that look like culture when it's really just what performs. How do brands stay anchored to what's genuinely resonant?
And that is, I guess, the classic wanting to participate in culture from brands, and instead of actually going on the same level to participate, and almost kind of an invitation, but being on the same level with a fan, let's say, because if you're on the same level and you're trying to understand community thinking, like on platforms like Reddit and what, you don't fall for that I guess, for that mistake of just reading the signals from the top once they are aggregated, right? Because it's the aggregation of signals that causes what you just said, in terms of just becoming all what we're reading in culture, rather than what drives it from the community and from the ground up, which is more in the kind of, little comments and things that people say, that if you're not at that community level, you will lose, because you just look at the aggregation of it, which comes from that automation that you mentioned earlier. So it's basically reframing from looking at the aggregation and just going, grassroots, being part of communities and culture.
Very, very interesting. Let's go towards the last question. I want to help me with a long-term vision. If you had to bet on one innovation most brands are currently underinvesting in, at the intersection of algorithmic media and cultural relevance, what would that be?
Experiences. Live experiences,
Okay.
which were really hard before because you had to invest a lot of money, and then that money wouldn't really fully be leveraged, right? Because the experience was just there, you had it once, and then you would miss the opportunity to really bring it out there. Whilst now you have that opportunity, with all the content enhancements and amplification that you can do, but without missing the opportunity of the live experience and, of being there in real person and for what really matters to people. I think that's what is being missed right now. And I think that's what excites me most. Going back to your first question about not automating everything, not relying just on algo era, but actually building that bridge.
I love that. And live experiences like the one that we are having here at the Sport Beach. Thank you again.
Yeah, correctly. Yes, the name says it all, right?
The name says it all. Thanks again to Tia Castagno, Global Innovation President at Dentsu. Thanks for having been with us.
No, thanks for having me. Thank you.